to all of the evaporation from the recent rains. So get ready to have that AC going. That is for sure. But I think a lot of folks that live here and spend the summers here don't mind it. It's just life is normal. It's kind of like complaining about cold weather in Alaska.
Yeah, you're really making it sound appealing, but if it's going to be one of the steamier weekends that we've had so far, that's saying something, because we've had some steamy weekends already.
You're right. If you're going for that morning jog, I would do it before 9 a.m. this weekend. Otherwise, it's just going to be you'll melt even if you're seasoned.
All right, good to know. Fox 35 Storm Team Meteorologist Brooks Garner, we appreciate you joining us.
You got it. My pleasure, Garrett. Thank you.
And as we go to break here on Fox 35 News Plus, we'll leave you with a view of Daytona Beach from our Hard Rock Hotel camera. You can see a couple maybe raindrops there on the camera, and some clouds off in the distance there in the Atlantic. Keep it right here. More Fox 35 News Plus after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning. A Groveland council member has been reinstated to her seat as a lawsuit moves forward in court. This council member, Judith Fike, was suspended over alleged social media posts. She was accused of making posts between 2015 and as recently as November 2024, after she was appointed to her position. Those posts include racial slurs about former President Barack Obama, anti-gay posts as well. Fike's attorney filed a lawsuit, though, claiming that the city council lacked the authority to suspend her from that role. Today, in a hearing that I'm going to play for you here, we hear from a judge talking through the reasoning for the suspension, the defense arguing their case, and then the judge granting a temporary injunction and ending that suspension.
Your initial argument, you seem to argue that because she was appointed as opposed to elected, that should make a difference.
Absolutely, Your Honor. The very specific language of the Code of Ethics states that council members who engage in conduct which is deemed to be a violation can lose, quote, other privileges afforded by the council. The council person in this case, the plaintiff, was actually appointed by, approved by the council. And as such, the city would argue that her serving at this juncture is in fact a privilege specifically afforded by the council. And as such, it would be a privilege that would fall within the definitional constraints of that code of conduct, Your Honor.
So she was acting as a councilwoman, council member. She was voting just like all the other members were up until this point.
Yes, Your Honor, that is accurate.
Thank you. Mr. Sabatini?
Thank you, Your Honor. Just very briefly. First, Your Honor, we would submit that the question you asked is extremely relevant because clearly there's no basis in the law of this novel argument that the city charter, once the person vacates the seat and a new person is appointed to that seat, that somehow they are working as a privilege, that they are beneath the council member. They're quite literally equal to the other council members. They are now one of the 5 council members in that city and an independent authority. Nothing to the charter speaks to that. Nothing in the history of Florida case law speaks to that concept. It's, I believe, to be just a completely novel idea. So the appointment itself is clearly just simply not relevant. We talked about injurious, the injury that she could be seeing in the future. Number one is the votes that have already been missed. We believe that this court has the legal authority, equitable authority to actually dismiss those votes, to remand those votes, because those votes were held outside of the law, and to remove them because they quite literally would not allow a city council member to vote on them. And another vote that she currently, this is why preliminary injunction is appropriate, currently there's obviously an infinite amount of votes that are forthcoming. They could hold a special meeting with 24 hours notice and vote on 50 things tomorrow if they wanted. But one of which is the most important is the vote on her own permanent suspension, or I'm sorry, permanent removal. So clearly she's not going to be allowed to vote on that. So that's why another reason why the preliminary injunction is completely and totally important here, Your Honor. And I would also mention, just want to reiterate the 4 prongs, because I think defense counsel or defendant respectfully mentioned that maybe one of them wasn't well pled. They were well pled, and I'm going to go through all 4 of them very quickly. One is a likelihood of irreparable harm. Not only is it in the future, we've already seen irreparable harm, we've seen literal votes affecting the lives of nearly 20,000 plus 20,000 people in the city of Groveland, disproportionately affected by a council person being absent from those votes. That is in itself a charter violation, that is irreparable harm. And I would say, and this is a secondary argument, but it is very important context, Your Honor, is that, yeah, council member fight isn't just a person who's literally thrown out of a meeting without legal authority. She is actually appearing on the ballot. The ballots that actually went out on Monday, the military ballots went out last week. So people in the city of Groveland, like the Groveland resident here, Governor Rollins, are going to be getting their ballots, and they're going to be looking, and they're going to say, well, if the person's suspended or removed, and I mean, why would I vote for somebody that quite literally has no authority to be on the commission? That's obvious. It's just an obvious logical conclusion that you'd be, quote unquote, throwing your vote away, but because you're voting for somebody who this council lawfully is saying is an invalid candidate, invalid person. Being a substantial likelihood of success on the merits, I think that the defendant, although this is a very clever and novel argument that came up with, could point to no trend, no case before the law, nothing in the charter that allowed this extraordinary power of removal and suspension. And thirdly, it's not just a threat. We're not asking for some tentative relief, Your Honor, that maybe one day she's going to be suspended. They quite literally physically removed her. They suspended her. They hired a private investigator, and now they're moving into another hearing where they're going to just add insult to injury by doubling down on the illegalism by permanently removing her. That, of course, is not just a threat injury. It is an injury, and of course, it's a continuing threat of further injury. And then finally, that the injunction would not disturb the public interest. The preliminary injunction is always appropriate when it does not disturb the public interest. And I can't even imagine it didn't address it in the argument how allowing her to continue to vote through this process in some way is a disservice to the public interest. With that, we conclude, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, this time the court is going to grant a temporary injunction. Ms. Platt will be, the suspension will be removed. She'll be recognized as a lawful member of the council. And if the parties, and I'll issue a written order concerning this, I think these are today. And if the parties want another hearing, I am starting a 2-week trial term beginning on Monday, so it may be difficult to observe one full day unless my trial ends. Sometimes they end by Friday, but it's not. I can't guarantee that until we get into the middle of the trial. So just reach out to my judicial assistant. We'll get you on the calendar as soon as possible.
Thank you, Your Honor. And I would just allow the court to notice for convenience sake that we will probably move for judgment on pleadings very soon here. We think that this is really a law-specific case, and so maybe we can have some abbreviated timelines for that when we reach out to your judicial system. Thank you, Your Honor.
Sounds good.
Your Honor, just to point out that the defendant in this matter has not even answered the operative complaint, the amended operative complaint, as the plaintiff amended to remove the allegations of the First Amendment in Section 1983 of Congress.
Understood. I saw that. Without notice of appearance, but no answer.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Meanwhile, cleanup continues on I-95 in Volusia County from this crash that happened early this morning near the Halifax Avenue exit. Involved a number of cars, including a semi-truck. Been a big mess out there for much of the morning. Thankfully, the injuries were not major in this. Could have been very bad, but it has certainly been a big mess out there on I-95, and cleanup continuing here at this hour. We're going to take a quick break on Fox 35 News Plus, but we'll be right back after this.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. I'm Garrett Weimer, and thanks for joining us on this Wednesday morning live on Fox Local and on YouTube. Let's talk a little theme parks today. Got a lot of news to cover, so I want to bring in Theron White, who's the lead publisher of EYNTK.info. Theron, always good to talk with you, and we appreciate you joining us this morning here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Always happy to join, and there is a ton of news to talk about.
Yes, there is, because let's start here. The third day in a row now, we've gotten an announcement about a Halloween Horror Nights scare zone.
Yeah, they seem to be following a trend right now where every single day at exactly 10:34, so we've got 10 for October and 34 because it is the 34th year, they have been dropping a new scare zone. If they follow that trend, we should get another one tomorrow and then a final one on Friday. We've got the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane, which was just announced a little over an hour ago, the Masquerade Dance with Death, and the Origins of Horror. All three of these are going to be totally original, so that's something very exciting. We'll have to see exactly where they're going to be placed in the park. But rumors suggest that Origins of Horror is going to be what you see when you first enter into Universal Studios Florida.
We know that the Cat Lady of Crooked Lane actually comes from a previous element, kind of at Halloween Horror Nights.
Yeah, it was teased before in the Slaughter Cinema 2 Haunted House. That was going to be something that we had last year. So it was a poster directly inside of the house. This is not new for Halloween Horror Nights. Sometimes they like to tease something that they're going to have years later. And sometimes, like we had talked about last year, Slaughter Cinema is kind of a testing ground for future houses and future expansions. We already know that some stuff from that house is going to be taken and pulled into a new house from this year. So it's interesting to see that they had a bunch of stuff that's coming this year already in last year's and kind of little Easter eggs that we didn't even know about yet.
So still more announcements to come when it comes to these scare zones.
That is correct. We should have at least 2 more if they follow their regular trend of 10 houses and 5 scare zones plus 1 big entertainment venue. So we should expect probably 2 more, and it should go just like it has so far, probably tomorrow and then Friday.
All right, now let's talk a little bit. Let's stay with Universal here and give you a live look at Epic Universe, where we also learned this week that Epic Universe is extending its park hours, Theron.
That is correct. They were closing at 9 o'clock and they were doing kind of a soft closing until 10. So if you had hung around the park, some of the rides wouldn't technically close the line right at 9 o'clock, and they would allow you to stay till 10. That was happening a lot at Stardust Racers. But now it is official. The park is going to be closing at 10 p.m., which is going to give you an extra hour there in the dark to really enjoy the park. It's such an amazing place at night, so I'm happy to be able to hear that, and I'm glad that they're keeping those hours open. As of right now, those hours only extend out until August 18th, so we'll have to see if this is a temporary thing or if they're going to be pulling back the hours and they need maybe some of those employees at that park to go work at Halloween Horror Nights, which will start the week right after August 18th. We don't know yet, but as of right now, you can expect very soon for Epic Universe to stay open for an hour later.
And that's one of the things that I think I had seen at least people kind of complaining about, the fact that the hours didn't go later into the night, especially for a park that looks as good as it does once the sun goes down.
Yeah, this park is incredible at night. I would confidently say this is the most beautiful park I have ever visited at night. When you just look at all of their lands and all the things they can do, they've got the lagoon show and so many things you can enjoy. Plus, it's really hot in the middle of summer, so it is nice to be able to have some of those evening hours. So I do enjoy that they are going to be pushing it back, and I'm glad they're doing it. I think closing at 9 because the sun was setting right there, you couldn't necessarily enjoy the park as much as you maybe wanted to. I said earlier, I'd be happy if they want to open the park at 11 a.m. and just push the entirety of the park hours back. That's fine, but I'm glad to see that they're not opening up later. Instead, they're going to open up at their same time, and they're opening for an additional hour at night as well.
Yeah, some extra time to enjoy there. That is certainly a good thing. Now let's talk about Legoland, because they have announced the theme for their space coaster.
Yeah, we are going to be getting a Lego space-themed roller coaster, not only at Legoland, Florida, but also in Legoland, California. This is going to be a $90 million investment between the two parks. In fact, Legoland, Florida has not had a new coaster since 2011 when they took over that property. So that's something I'm really excited to see about. I mean, this is fully indoors. That's great. For if you're here in Florida, we get rain every single day here in summer. So having an indoor attraction like that is going to be something that's awesome. It's going to be, I'm sure, very, very themed. The Merlin Magic making team is working on that. And so we'll have to get a couple more details about what exactly we're going to see on the inside. But Legoland did say that along with this coaster, there's going to be an outdoor play area for kids. Of course, we can expect some merchandise and stuff like that as well. The Lego space-themed Lego sets were some of the first that ever came out when the company first started, and those have been loved by fans for the longest time. So I'm happy to see that we're kind of getting that classic set, and we're going to be bringing that here into the park with what should be a very, very fun ride.
So your word of advice is if someone is interested in an annual pass at Legoland, now might be the time to do that.
That is correct. So I reached out to Legoland, and they didn't give an exact date about when this is going to open, but they do hope to be in the first half of 2026. So because of that, you might be able to line up a lot of stuff right now if you did buy a Legoland annual pass. So they have a bunch of different options. You can kind of pick which one you want, but the one that I specifically was looking at was going to be their $200 pass. This is going to include parking, so you don't have to pay for parking every single time you go, and it's going to allow you to go into the park for a multitude of days. They've got a $259 one if you want to be able to go into Sea Life and some of the stuff at Icon Park, but if you get one of these annual passes, we've got Brick or Treat coming up, which is such a fun event with a ton of entertainment. We've got some of their Christmas festivities. We've got New Year's Eve. We've got the stuff coming up in spring with Lego Ninjago and other offerings. And then they've got the stuff happening in summer right now. And you can kind of round out that annual pass by being able to go to this new roller coaster when it does open. So if that's been something you're thinking about, it might be a good opportunity to kind of check out their website and see the deals and what times work for you.
All right, and finally, Theron, let's talk a little Disney here, because a Disneyland debut is getting a lot of attention right now.
Yes, the first time ever Walt Disney himself has become alive in a sense as an animatronic over at Disneyland Park. He is going there. It used to be the Great Moments with Abraham Lincoln, and it will still be that. They're going to be able to convert it. It's on a turntable, so the two shows can kind of switch back and forth. But once this officially debuts, it's been shown to the media and a couple influencers. We have Walt Disney as an animatronic. He was someone that was really pushing the forefront in his day and age for technology and storytelling and entertainment with tech. And so I think this is kind of like a great thing to be able to see Walt himself come back to life in a way in his home park, talk about his history and what went through with that. There's been some controversy online that people say they don't really like how he looks, and maybe they don't think he looks exactly like the Walt Disney that they know. But I think this is one of those things you really have to see in person. I'll be heading out to Disneyland in September, so I'll be able to check it out. But if you just saw pictures of like the Na'vi from the Avatar attractions over in Animal Kingdom, you would be like, that's a pretty cool looking robot. And then you see it in person and it is mind blowing. So I'm thinking that's one of those things that when you get the emotion and the surround sound, the lights and the projections, being able to see Walt Disney on Main Street in the park that he designed and built, I think that's a really sweet thing. And I'm happy to see that the Walt Disney Family Museum and a lot of people came together with the Disney company to kind of make sure they had the most accurate representation that they could.
Well, and impressive technology, regardless.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's cool. It's the first animatronic that Disney's ever built where he actually is leaning back on his desk and he stands up to start to talk. That was something that Walt himself did a lot when he was on television or had interviews. He happened to lean on his desk. So I think it's cool that they added that detail. I mean, that's not a small thing to have a robot lean back because, it's not really leaning. They've got to use the support and all the stuff that's done in that. To have him lean and stand up is a really, really big deal. And I can't imagine how many hours went into trying to perfect that.
Darren White, lead publisher of VYNTK.info. Good talking with you this morning. We appreciate you joining us here on Fox 35 News Plus.
Of course, always happy to join.
We're going to take a quick break and we will be right back.
You're watching Fox 35 News Plus, streaming on Fox Local.
Welcome back into Fox 35 News Plus. Give you a live look at the Truist Park in Atlanta. The park has cleared out. It was a fun game last night and a little bit of a late night because the MLB All-Star game ended after 9 innings in a tie, so they went to a swing-off for the first time. The National League ending up winning the All-Star game in that swing-off. Players talked to reporters after the game, including Pete Alonso with the New York Mets, who is a Tampa native. Also, Jonathan Aranda, first baseman for the Tampa Bay Rays. They both competed in the swing-off. Well, Alonso didn't get a chance to because he didn't need to because the National League had already won it. But we heard from them after the game.
I think you're only the third, Pete. I think it was David Wright and Lee Mazzilli who were the only other guys to hit home runs in the All-Star game. So that's pretty good.
No, it's really special for sure.
How would you describe the aftermath, kind of similar to a Derby when everybody was sort of like jumping up and down and all that? Was it like a walk-off kind of vibe over there?
Well, yeah, it was a walk-off where it's like Schwarbs did it. I mean, he put on a hell of a show that last little bit. So really, I mean, that was I mean, I'm watching in the cage as I'm taking my swings, and everyone I see go over the fence, I'm like, hell yeah, Schwarbs! I mean, because now we're teammates, and you wanna cheer your guys on to help win the game. So, I mean, that was really awesome. And then after I was loose and Aranda was out there, I'd go out there, and I'm like, all right, let's go. So I was ready for if my moment came, and thankfully we did it the easy way, like I said before.
How would you describe what Kyle Schwarber did? Nobody in history has ever had that moment.
I mean, it's crazy. I mean, with this new format, I think it's really exciting. You know, I mean, when he was launching balls, you can kind of hear people from the tunnel. I mean, it's really exciting. I mean, everyone was super into it. So I think people really thoroughly enjoyed the show.
How hard is it to do what he just did?
I mean, it's getting good pitches, taking swings when the pressure's on. Obviously, it's a tough thing to do. But I mean, again, I think it's not necessarily the swings. It's more of dealing with the pressure and staying within yourself.
From what you've gotten to know Kyle over the years in your career, what makes him somebody that can come through in those big moments with those huge hits?
He's dangerous. He's always dangerous. He's never not dangerous. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter how he's feeling or how he's performing. No matter, whenever he steps in the box, he's always dangerous, and that's the thing about that guy. His power is some of the best in the game, and he's one of those guys when I'm playing first base, I'm always extra cautious over there. So, I mean, he's always dangerous.
What was it like to be around Kershaw today and see the reception he got?
I mean, honestly, really special. I mean, he's probably on one of the Mount Rushmore guys in Dodger history. I mean, when you think of Dodger greats, I mean, obviously you think of so many guys, but Kershaw's definitely on there. And for him to share a locker room with him and kind of see what he's done throughout his career. Obviously, I watched him when I was younger, but to be able to play against him, compete, and then share a couple locker rooms with him at All-Star games, it's really special.
He said he talked to the team a little bit before the game. Did he take anything away from his message?
I mean, Kersh, he's just a classy individual, and when you see him speak, you kind of understand why he's able to perform. And I mean, he's just one of those guys that's always had poise, and he's just he's a pro's pro, and there's a reason why he's going to be in Cooperstown.
Ellos me preguntaron y pues yo accedí, ¿no? Porque pues supuse que iba a ser algo divertido y sí lo fue.
They asked me and I said yes, you know, because I thought it was going to be a fun thing, and it was.
Did you feel a lot of pressure?
No, realmente me paré ahí como si fuera un turno normal y me paré a disfrutar cada batazo, pero desafortunadamente no cayeron. Me hubiera gustado que el equipo de la Americana se llevara la victoria, pero son cosas que pasan.
Not really, you know, I just stood there, you know, as a regular at bat, you know, I was just having fun. I would have loved for us for the American League to win the game, but you know, it's baseball.
What do you think about the whole idea of having a homer derby in extra inning to decide a game?
Bueno, yo creo que es algo muy divertido, ¿no? Así salvamos los brazos de pitcher y pues se le da a los fanáticos una gran experiencia y así como pues a los jugadores algo un poquito más emocionante.
I think it's a lot of fun, you know, it gives the fans more emotion, you know, and also to the players.
Were you able to block out that everyone is watching all around the world and the game?
Not often that you hear a New York Met with positive words for someone who plays for the Philadelphia Phillies, but high praise there from Pete Alonso talking about Kyle Schwarber, who homered in all three of his swings in that swing-off last night to really ice things for the most part for the National League in that All-Star game. We should note Alonso homered himself, hit a 3-run home run earlier in that game that you were able to watch on Fox 35. Well, that's going to do it for us here on Fox 35 News Plus this morning. We appreciate you joining us live on Fox Local and on YouTube. We are here every weekday, 11 a.m., 2 p.m., and 4 p.m., and more if needed. We were on quite a bit longer yesterday afternoon, so keep it here on Fox Local. We'll be back at 2 o'clock with Florida Live. In the meantime, give you a look at downtown Orlando on this Wednesday now afternoon.